It's midnight sharp and you're watching World News Program with me, Mariam Zian. To the headlines. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune receives Russian Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Patrushev, and Communications Minister delivers a message from President Tebboune to the President of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, stressing the importance of continuing bilateral coordination and partnership. Also coming up, Algeria and NATO exchange views on Euro-Mediterranean challenges and developments in the Middle East and Sahel. NATO confirms that Algeria is an important partner in security and stability and the fight against terrorism in the region, and the U.S. State Department confirms that Attaf and Rubio discussed the strong bilateral partnership to enhance regional and international peace and security. Next, more than 500,000 displaced Palestinians have returned to northern Gaza after the ceasefire. Palestinian Health Ministry in the Gaza Strip confirms that the occupation destroyed 95% of the Al-Shifa medical complex. While the bodies of 63 martyrs arrived at the hospitals of the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours. And Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi confirms that the displacement of Palestinians is an injustice. King Abdullah renews Jordan's position on the necessity of establishing the Palestinians on their land and enabling them to obtain their rights. Germany describes the displacement of Palestinians from Gaza to other countries as unacceptable. Welcome to the details. First, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune has received Russian Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Patrushev and his accompanying delegation on Wednesday, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. The same source added that the meeting was attended by Boualem, Director of the Presidential Office, Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Fisheries, Youssef Sharfa, and Algeria's Ambassador to Russia, Boumediene Qanat. Algerian Minister of Communication Mohamed Mizan delivered a message from President Tebboune to the President of Equatorial Guinea, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Sabongo. A statement from the Algerian Ministry of Communication clarified that Minister Mizan, acting as a special envoy of President Tebboune, was received in Malabo on Wednesday by the President of Equatorial Guinea, conveying President Tebboune's fraternal greetings and his aspirations to strengthen fruitful bilateral cooperation. The statement further noted that at the conclusion of the discussions, both sides emphasized the importance of maintaining coordination and consultation on regional and international issues of mutual interest, particularly those related to the African Union's agenda. Algerian Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and African Affairs Ahmed Attaf received NATO's Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs and Security Policy, Javier Colmena Perez, in Algiers on Wednesday as part of an official visit to Algeria. A statement from the Algerian Foreign Ministry noted that the meeting provided an opportunity to review the state and prospects of dialogue and cooperation between Algeria and NATO, as well as to exchange views and analyses on several matters of mutual interest, particularly security challenges in the Euro-Mediterranean region and developments in the Middle East and the Sahel-Saharan region. And following the meeting, NATO's Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs and Security Policy affirmed that Algeria is an important partner in security, stability, and counter-terrorism efforts in the region.
Algeria is a key partner in matters of security, stability, and the fight against terrorism. We discussed these regional challenges, particularly those in the Sahel, a region of great concern to us. We have repeatedly stated that it has perhaps the most unstable region in the world today. The organization I represent faces significant challenges and priorities in the region, as do our allies.
NATO official Javier Colomina Perez noted that political dialogue with Algeria is progressing well, stressing the commitment to deepening the partnership between both sides. Let's have a listen.
The political dialogue between us and Algeria is progressing well, and we have decided to deepen it further through practical partnership and military cooperation, both of which have advanced significantly over the past 2 decades since their announcement in 2000. We discussed ways to expand many other joint activities we are undertaking, which align with the directions of our work plan. The purpose of my visit to Algeria is to strengthen cooperation in a deeper and more structured manner. The results we have achieved and the discussions we have held have been highly positive, and I look forward to returning to Algeria again.
Algerian Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and African Affairs Ahmed Attaf received a phone call on Wednesday from Dutch Minister of Foreign Affairs Caspar Velkamp. A statement from the Algerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs indicated that the two ministers reviewed the state of friendship and cooperation between their countries and discussed ways to elevate these ties, particularly through the signing of a roadmap during the upcoming meeting of the Joint Governmental Committee. This roadmap aims to strengthen collaboration in traditional sectors such as energy and agriculture, while expanding it to new areas including startups in renewable energy with a particular focus on green hydrogen. Same source added that the Dutch minister expressed his country's readiness to share its extensive expertise in green hydrogen as part of structural projects that Algeria is working on in cooperation with European partners. The U.S. State Department announced that Secretary Marco Rubio discussed with Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf the strong partnership between their countries to promote regional and international peace and security under President Tebboun's leadership. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce stated in a press release that both officials addressed the implementation of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, the release of hostages, and Algeria's leadership in providing humanitarian aid to Gaza. According to Bruce, the two ministers also discussed strengthening economic and energy cooperation in a way that benefits both Americans and Algerians, as well as efforts to address instability in the Sahel region. Moving on now to developments in occupied Palestinian territories, the Civil Defense in Gaza reported that the Zionist occupation has destroyed all basic necessities for life in the Gaza Strip, adding that displaced people in the north lack even the most basic essentials. In a statement issued on Wednesday, Gaza Civil Defense confirmed that the occupation continues to delay the entry of humanitarian aid and does not want residents to return to the north. It called for the entry of specialized international agencies to remove rubble and dismantle explosives left behind by Israeli forces.
The situation in the Palestinian Strip is difficult and tragic, and the suffering has begun to appear clearly in the northern Gaza Strip with the return of the displaced. The occupation has destroyed all the necessities of life in the Strip, and the displaced cannot find the simplest things in the northern Gaza Strip.
Gaza's municipality reported on Wednesday that more than 500,000 displaced people have returned to the northern areas of the Strip, facing significant challenges. In a statement, the municipality noted that the shortage of essential services would exacerbate the suffering of returning displaced persons, adding that the city urgently requires water barrels, energy sources, increased fuel supplies, spare parts, and machinery to maintain water and sewage networks. Director General of the Ministry of Health in Gaza, Dr. Munir al-Bursh, confirmed that over 95% of the Al-Shifa Medical Complex, Gaza's largest medical institution, has been destroyed during the genocide. In a statement to the media, al-Bursh said that Israeli forces systematically destroyed Al-Shifa Medical Complex's buildings and equipment, adding that the ministry has repaired the dilapidated, previously abandoned old outpatient clinic building and converted it to an emergency and reception ward. Hamas stated that residents of northern Gaza are experiencing a severe humanitarian catastrophe due to the extensive destruction of homes and infrastructure caused by the Israeli occupation and its Nazi army. In a statement, Hamas added that the dire humanitarian situation in the devastated and afflicted northern region necessitates action from Arab and Islamic nations, as well as the international community, to fulfill their responsibilities by pressuring the occupation to accelerate the entry of shelter tents and temporary housing and to intensify the delivery of aid and relief.
The humanitarian reality of the devastated and afflicted northern region requires Arab and Islamic countries and the international community to assume their responsibilities by pressuring the occupation to accelerate the pace of bringing in shelters, tents, and temporary homes, and to intensify the entry of aid and relief.
The Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza reported that 63 martyrs were received at hospitals across the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours. The ministry added that among the martyrs, 59 were recovered from the rubble, while 2 others succumbed to their injuries. Additionally, 2 new martyrs were recorded. The ministry also noted that the total toll of the Israeli aggression on Gaza has risen to 47,417 martyrs, 111,571 wounded since October 7, 2023. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stated that the displacement of or forced transfer of Palestinian people is an injustice that Egypt cannot take part in. In a press statement on Wednesday in Cairo, Sisi emphasized that any discussions about the displacement of Palestinians cannot be tolerated or accepted due to its implications for Egypt's national security. He reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to working with U.S. President Donald Trump to achieve a peace settlement based on a 2-state solution.
الظلم التاريخي اللي وقع للفلسطينيين وتم تهجيرهم قبل كده.
The historical injustice that happened to the Palestinians when they were displaced before, and they did not return to places where they were previously assured that they could return to after rebuilding it. Can this case be repeated once more? I do not think so. I think that if I ask the Egyptian people to do this issue, they will all go out to the streets to say no, do not participate in injustice. I say it very clearly. The deportation or displacement of the Palestinian people is an act of injustice in which we cannot participate.
Jordan's King Abdullah II reiterated his country's stance on the necessity of ensuring that Palestinians remain on their land following reports that U.S. President Donald Trump proposed relocating Palestinians from Gaza to Jordan and Egypt. A statement from the Jordanian royal court confirmed that King Abdullah emphasized Jordan's firm position on preserving Palestinian rights in accordance with a 2-state solution during separate meetings in Brussels with European Union officials on Wednesday. And Jordan's foreign ministry rejected statements by Donald Trump suggesting the transfer of Gaza's residents to Jordan due to poor infrastructure in the Strip, affirming that Palestinians have no option but to remain on their land. Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi stressed that his country opposes any forced displacement of Palestinians, asserting that a just resolution to the Palestinian issue is the only viable solution. He also expressed Jordan's willingness to cooperate with the new U.S. administration to support peace efforts in the region. And in the same context, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemned any plans to displace Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt or Jordan, calling such a move unacceptable. In a press statement, Scholz asserted that a just solution to the Palestinian issue must be based on a 2-state framework, emphasizing the need for the ceasefire in Gaza to lead to lasting peace. Head of Hamas, Khalil al-Hayya, stated that the Israeli occupation has failed to impose its conditions, citing the resilience of Palestinian people against forced displacement. During a ceremony honoring freed prisoners in Cairo, al-Hayya reaffirmed that Palestinians will return to their land, cities, and villages just as they have returned to northern Gaza. He also praised international support for Palestinian rights.
We celebrated the return of our people from the south to the north after the occupation decided to displace them. The people thwarted this goal that the enemy sought to achieve. The Palestinian people will return to their land, cities, and villages as they returned to the north of the Strip.
The Palestinian Foreign Ministry stated that Israel has no legal sovereignty over the occupied Palestinian territories and therefore lacks the right to dismantle the United Nations Relief and Work Agency. In a statement on Wednesday, the ministry urged the international community to ensure the immediate implementation of Palestinian rights, including ending the occupation, establishing a Palestinian state, and securing the refugees' right of return. It condemned some nations' alignment with Israel's decision to halt UNRWA operations as a blatant violation of international law and an attempt to erase the Palestinian cause. The United Nations has urged Israel to withdraw its decision requiring UNRWA to cease operations in occupied Al-Quds and vacate its offices by January 30. In the letter, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for the withdrawal of the decision based on the legal framework governing UNRWA's operations, stressing that its role cannot be replaced. He highlighted Israel's obligations toward the agency under a 1967 agreement with the UN.
I regret this decision and request that the government of Israel retract it.
36 Lebanese civilians were injured in two airstrikes carried out by Israeli warplanes in southern Lebanon. According to a statement from the Lebanese Ministry of Health, the first strike targeted the Nabatiya Fawqa area, wounding 20 people, while a second strike hit Zoutar in southern Lebanon, leaving 4 others injured. Meanwhile, the 60-day deadline for the withdrawal of Israeli forces from southern Lebanon, as stipulated in the ceasefire agreement, expired last Sunday. However, the White House recently announced an extension of the agreement until February 18. The Kremlin announced on Wednesday that Russia is working to establish dialogue with Syria's new administration. Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov traveled to Damascus this week for initial talks with Syrian officials. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov described the communications as significant, stressing the importance of maintaining ongoing dialogue with Syrian authorities.
It is an important trip. These are important contracts, because it is necessary to build and to maintain a constant dialogue with Syrian authorities, which what we do and what we will continue to do.
Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune met on Wednesday with Fatah Boutbig, leader of the Future Front Party, along with his accompanying delegation, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. The statement added that the meeting was attended by Boualem Boualem, director of the presidential office, and Kamal Sidi Said, President Tebboune's advisor in charge of the General Directorate of Communication. The Moroccan government expelled the Spanish parliamentary delegation from the Basque region and prevented it from entering occupied La'youn, according to a source from the Spanish Solidarity Movement, the Sahrawi people. In a statement on Wednesday, the movement confirmed that Moroccan authorities barred delegation members from even disembarking from their plane in La'youn, forcing them to return on the same flight to Las Palmas. And Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso formally withdrew from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, on Wednesday, following more than a year of diplomatic tensions between the two sides. The move comes months after the three nations formed the Alliance of Sahel States, accusing ECOWAS of imposing inhumane and unlawful sanctions in response to unconstitutional changes in their governments. Additionally, they accuse ECOWAS of failing to provide adequate support in combating extremist armed groups and of being subordinate to France. In response, ECOWAS issued a statement on Wednesday saying its doors remain open for dialogue with Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. UN Security Council's A3+ group, called for an immediate de-escalation of tensions in Goma, Democratic Republic of Congo, stressing the need to protect civilians. During a Security Council session chaired by Algeria, Sierra Leone's Sierra Leone's UN representative Michel Imran Kanu spoke on behalf of the group, urging the March 23 movement to halt its advance, calling on all parties to exercise restraint to safeguard civilians.
And other UN staff who are risking their lives in pursuit of peace and the protection of civilians in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. We also honor those peacekeepers and SAMI DRC personnel who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service of peace. Our deepest condolences go to their families and to the government and people of South Africa, Malawi, and Uruguay.
The A3+ group reaffirmed its support for a political solution to the conflict, praising African diplomatic efforts to encourage the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda to reach a mutually acceptable resolution.
The A3+ is deeply concerned about the volatility of the situation, the ongoing conflict, and the resulting stalemate, which present a high risk of a broader regional conflict. We have listened attentively to Ms. van der Perg's briefing, and it is clear that the people of Goma, and indeed the wider Congolese population, deserve more than a temporary cessation of the M23/AFC offensive. They need the guns to be silent through a comprehensive political process that will not only end their suffering but also guarantee respect for the DRC's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
And the Sudanese army advanced on Wednesday in several neighborhoods of Old Bahri north of the capital Khartoum, bringing most of the city under its control for the first time in 21 months. Sudanese armed forces announced that it had broken the siege of the Signal Corps headquarters, inflicting successive defeats on the rapid support forces across multiple fronts. Hosam Barkan has the report.
Since regaining control over Wad Madani, the capital of Al Jazeera state, and the second largest city in Sudan in terms of population density and strategic importance, connecting Khartoum with Gadaref, Sennar, and White Nile. The Sudanese army has continued its advance on multiple fronts. Its ultimate objective remains the full recapture of the capital, Khartoum.
From this point onward, Sudan enters a new historical phase where the armed forces aim to reclaim every remaining inch of the country. This marks the beginning of the return of displaced Sudanese from refugee and exile, as they resume their normal lives in safety, stability, and peace.
The army's progress is bolstered by its control over the Signal Corps in Bahri, allowing its forces in Omdurman and Bahri to link up with units stationed at the General Command in central Khartoum for the first time in 21 months. Along the way, the army recaptured the Paratroops Corps, inflicting heavy losses on the rapid support forces, including the death of a key field commander during clashes in the Salsi front of Khartoum. According to the Sudanese army, the battles in Khartoum represent the third phase of its military campaign, launched in September against what it calls rebels. The army now asserts that dialogue with the rapid support forces is no longer an option. The military's wide-scale offensive marks a major shift in the course of the conflict, which has raged for 21 months. Meanwhile, the rapid support force is attempting to halt the army's advance by intensifying attacks on Al-Fashir, targeting the city's hospital with artillery, shelling, and drone strikes, resulting in 70 casualties.
Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that lack of trust remains a key issue in Iran's relationship with the U.S. In a press statement, Araghchi asserted that Iran had fully implemented previous agreements, accusing the other side of violating them. He added that Tehran continues its discussions with European countries while waiting for the other side to define its policies.
The same old distrust still governs Iran-US relations. We previously reached an agreement. Iran implemented it, but they were the ones who broke it. Distrust will not disappear with positive statements. We need practical measures and specific policies. Our talks with European countries continue, and we are waiting for the other party to determine its policies.
And hundreds of millions of people gathered in homes at lively festivals on Wednesday to celebrate the arrival of the Chinese Lunar New Year. Ushering in the Year of the Snake with feasts, dances, spectacular firework displays, and traditional festivities. The Lunar New Year, aligning with the first new moon of the lunar calendar, marks the beginning of a 15-day celebration running from January 29 to February 4th. Also referred to as the Spring Festival, Chinese New Year is one of the most significant and widely celebrated festivals in Chinese culture.
Spring Festival is a very important festival for Chinese people. During this festival, the whole family can reunite and everyone can gather together. For Chinese people, this is a very happy moment, and everyone can gather together with all their relatives and friends. Chinese people attach great importance to this festival.
We are Chinese and we are influenced by the thousands of years of history and culture. Our culture just exists in our blood, both tangible and intangible.
And on the eve of the Chinese New Year in Beijing, cutting-edge technologies, including artificial intelligence, powered an extraordinary synchronized dance performed by both humans and humanoid robots at the Spring Festival Gala. A team of robot dancers joined their human partners on stage for a captivating rendition of traditional Chinese folk dance, Yang during the 2025 Gala, leaving the audience in awe. The robots also skillfully executed the handkerchief spin, a signature move in Yang that typically requires great skill and practice.
Four legs can help maintain stability on the ground easily. But when it comes to only two legs, the robot can't maintain stability with just one foot on the ground. The key is to ensure the robot's fluency and stability throughout the entire dance movement.
Happy Chinese New Year, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.